Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala as-salah. Hayya ala as-salah. Hayya ala al-falah. Hayya ala al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسوله النبي الكريم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما شاء الله لا قوة إلا بالله. يا حي يا قيوم. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا وحبيبنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأصحابه وعترته بعدد كل معلوم لك، وبعدد خلقك ورضا نفسك وزينة عرشك ومداد كلماتك. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. يا حي يا قيوم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله. My brothers, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen for all His infinite and countless gifts upon us. And now He's allowing us to live closer to the month of Ramadan, the month of Rajab is coming, expected to be in a couple of days. And it is well known from the traditions of the Sahaba, Ridwanullah ta'alayhim ajma'in, that they used to prepare for the month of Ramadan since starting from the month of Rajab, with fasting, dedicating extra ibadah. Allah called 4 months, He assigned 4 months to be Al-Ashhur al-Hurum, the sanctified months. And Rajab is one of them, was coming. Allah says, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. So Allah in this ayah, He said that He assigned 4 months out of the 12 months to be sanctified. Ashhur Hurum, where they are the special months, and do not wrong yourselves during those months. So it means you avoid committing sins as much as you can, because it is said that the sins are committed in the Ashhur al-Hurum in those months are more serious than other months during the year. So that's when Allah is instructing us to take them seriously, not to commit sins, not to wrong ourselves during those months. And the tradition of the Sahaba again is to fast, do the Siyam as much as possible of the month of Rajab, so that and in Sha'ban as well, and do extra ibadah, extra acts of worship, because the Sahaba out of all people have understood the significance of and the importance of the month of Ramadan and how to take advantage of it. And it is what they have obviously shown in their practice, is that they want to gain a momentum, so that when the month of Ramadan, they have already got their nafs to be used to worship and to reciting to Quran, to fasting. So they will do more during the month of Ramadan. It is obvious that it's common sense, if you never pick up the Mus'haf, you never read Quran, you never fast any nafil, and you never do any acts of worship, and all of a sudden the month of Ramadan hits you, it is extremely very unlikely that you will dedicate time and effort and to really take advantage of the month of Ramadan. It is more likely that you will continue to behave the same way you have behaving throughout the whole year. And that's why, because the serious and the incredible impact and the opportunity that is accessible to us in the month of Ramadan is something that we can never understand. Because Rasulullah said, if my ummah knew what the month of Ramadan really is, they would wish every month was Ramadan. They would want to fast, even if they had to fast every day throughout the whole year. Imagine that. Can you imagine a scenario? This is from Rasulullah. Imagine a scenario where you would be willing to, more than willing, looking forward to fast every day throughout the whole year, if you really know what Ramadan means. And this is why the practice of the Sahaba is to start preparing out of the month of Rajab, so that you gain a momentum and you have in the mood, and your nafs has already been trained. Your nafs it needs to be trained. Jihadun nafs is required in our deen. So there is verses of the month, or we have like copies if you'd like to take and read and take advantage in what you can do with acts of worship. But it is definitely favorable to fast as many days as you want. There will be rewards for that, inshallah, credible rewards. May Allah give us all of those. And there's other acts of worship that you can take advantage of, and if you're interested. My brothers, there is a pattern in Allah's creation, and Allah created laws for everything. And you'll see that, even the non-Muslims who don't, or even the atheists. In fact, if anything, the atheists are the one who are more focused about those laws, and they go by the laws of the physics, laws of physics, anything, and because they don't believe in al-ghaib like we do. So for them, everything is what they perceive in this world, is the laws of physics, and anything that does not fall within the laws of physics, for them does not exist. That's why they don't believe in Allah, because to them, there's no way Allah could be existing in those laws of physics. So they don't believe in God, and this is how it goes. So and because that's all they ذلك مبلغهم من العلم فأعرض عمن تولى عن ذكرنا ولم يرد إلى حياة الدنيا ذلك مبلغهم من العلم. That's the extent of their knowledge. That's all they can see. And unfortunately, even us as Muslims, we can fall into this trap. But but rather, Allah wants us to, He's bringing it to our attention, the fact that He has created laws for everything, and the whole Quran is to show us what the laws are for us to live in harmony with everything around us and to be successful in this life and, more importantly, in the next. And that's what the Quran is teaching us about those laws, and the law, which include the laws of inheritance, the laws of divorce, the laws of marriage, the laws of how to act with your neighbors, the laws. There's the whole Quran is about teaching us about those laws, the laws of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And when you follow them, you are the one who will benefit. You break them, then you will suffer, obviously, the consequences. And you will notice that, very interestingly, that there's always a repetitive pattern in everything that Allah that is subjected to the laws of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Notice that how the planets. All the planets in the solar system, and every planet that were to exist, according to all the physicists, and anywhere in the universe, has to rotate around the star. There are some lone planets that are, they call them, I forgot what the rogue planets or something, but the ones that are around a solar system, they all, how they rotate. Every planet has a different schedule, if you notice, in our solar system, and it rotates around the sun in a repetitive pattern to complete 1 year, and around itself to complete 1 day. And that's how the Earth is, that we're on this planet Earth, and yet we don't notice that. But yet there's a repetition. Even this huge, this giant celestial obvious, even the sun itself. The sun itself, تجري مستقرا لا. The sun itself is also, according to, again, the physicists, non-Muslims, they tell you that the sun is moving around the galaxy, around the center of the galaxy, and complete a rotation every so many millions of years. So even that, as big as it is, for us, it's an insane, incredible amount of time, but for Allah it's nothing, obviously. But yet the point is that it all follow the pattern. You'll notice even the atoms, the nuclear scientists who can go into studying the atoms, they'll say there's the electrons who rotate around the nucleus of the atom, also in a pattern, repetitive pattern. Look at the heartbeat, for example. The heart also beats in a pattern. The way we breathe also follows a pattern, repetitive all the time. And even if you look and examine, if you've seen videos of how ants or even bees, they bring their food and they make this repetitive pattern that you see in the bee comb. Sometimes you can buy it and eat it, like wax. It's good for you. You'll see how the hexagon shape, they repeat it all the time, repetition. All those creatures of Allah that are subjected, that are also repeating the same pattern. And those are things that we observe. There are a lot more things that we don't observe, that we are not aware of, that also have this repetitive pattern. And now notice how Allah prescribed the salah for us in an also repetitive pattern. 5 times a day, once a week for Jumu'ah, right? Once a year for the month of Ramadan, repetitive throughout the whole time. And whenever this repetition is disrupted, when the heart stops repeating the beating, it dies, and the time is up, right? You'll notice the disruption of the pattern somehow is associated with ceasing to exist or dying, or if a planet were to be smashed, stops its rotation, it will be completely shattered. The same you've seen also physicists talk about the stars who explode also from when the repetition is disrupted. So the benefit, my brothers, and the point is that there is the subjecting to Allah's laws in order to benefit includes this repetition in our worship. In terms of salah, this is the bare minimum to keep us in the fold of Islam, and also to prevent us to keep us away from al-fahsha wal-munkar. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha wal-munkar. This repetition to remove yourself from the distraction and bring yourself to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do your salah on time, whether it is 5 times a day or Jumu'ah or doing your fasting every once a year in Ramadan. All that brings you back to in line with your deen, to stay in certain boundaries so you don't get out of the fold of Islam. Once you break that pattern, if you don't pray 5 times a day, you're no longer in the fold of Islam. We all know that, right? But then if you were to do things that are more you want to exceed this repetition pattern in the pattern of nawafil. Nafila means anything extra, excess, and more than you are obligated to do, or more than you are required to do. And the nafil include the sunnah that and even that there's a repetition pattern. You notice in the sunnah, the one that you do before Fajr is always 2 before Fajr, always certain number of rak'at before Dhuhr and after Dhuhr, after Isha, after Maghrib. You notice that also there's a repetition pattern. And if you want to do more than that, whether it's fasting or reciting the Quran, and the word is wird. Wird is something that is repeated every day, that you commit yourself to. That is not a fard, that is not required for you, that by Allah, but it is something that you commit yourself to. Also has to be repetitive. The same, if you do it sporadically, you get the reward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna Allah la yudhi'u ajra man ahsana amala. He will not waste any good deed you do. You will get points for that. You will get good deeds, recorded on your book of deeds. But the repetition is what will advance you spiritually and in closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and will improve your iman and deen. The iman fluctuates, my brothers. Rasulullah said, our iman fluctuates. And the Sahaba have complained to Rasulullah that when we are with you, we don't see anything of the dunya. It's as if the hellfire is in front of us and the Jannah is before us, and then we're not interested in the dunya. As soon as we disperse and go out to our shops and businesses, we get immersed in the dunya again, and the iman is not the same as it used to be. The Sahaba complained about that fluctuation of the iman, and Rasulullah said, this is normal, and if you were to stay at the same level of that iman, the angels will come and shake hands with you. So the point is, my brothers, this repetition will help us with increase this fluctuation of iman. We want to bring it up to a higher level. So the committing yourself to the pattern is the key, and it's something that what we need. Very interesting. There's a story that about, I will mention it in a minute. But what we need, my brothers, is to be prepared at the time of death. The time of death is such a serious thing. We don't have any idea. This happens all the time, in front of us, people around us, our relatives that we know of. Each and every one of us know someone who is younger than us who died, either from our relatives or neighbors or acquaintances who have died younger than me and you. So death comes all the time. It's happening around us. It's coming to you. The saying is that the arrow of death has already been shot in your direction, but the time that is taking to get to you is what you have left to live in this life. Whatever the time it takes that arrow to reach you, is that what time you have what's left of your life on this earth, your age. So we want to be prepared. We have no clue the seriousness of the extraction of the soul. There's so many hadiths and riwayat about how the soul gets extracted from the body. It is said that it is similar to having a thorn that is extending and branching in every blood vessels, every vein, every artery, every blood vessel in your whole body, and pulling it at once. Imagine that feeling. This is how the analogy is used to describe the extraction of the soul. We have no idea, my brother, about the seriousness of that moment when the angel of death comes. We know of the hadith that the way that the awliya and the prophets and the pious people, their souls are extracted differently and easier versus the ones who are committing more sin. We have no idea what is my condition. I wish I can tell, I have this kind of reassurance that I am counted among the salihin whose extraction of the soul will be easy. I don't know. I have no idea. We keep pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us count us among the salihin. Even Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam said that. توفني in Surah Yusuf, he's pleading to Allah. This is the Prophet of Allah. توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين. Make me die as a Muslim and count me among the Salihin. That's the Prophet Yusuf. What about you and me? So we have no clue about the seriousness, the magnitude of this time of death and when it comes. So we have to be prepared, my brothers. The requirement of the preparation, we need to keep doing something in repetition, consistently, steadfast, to elevate our iman. So the fluctuation of iman does not go to a point when it fluctuates to a point where it could put us at risk or a danger, especially at the time of death. So that's why it is, the keeping the bare minimum, the salat 5 times a day, is what's just the bare minimum. But the bare minimum may not be enough at the time of death. I want something that will help me more. that when I'm dying, I want to be prepared for that moment, my brothers. That's why the repetition of the extra acts of worship is needed for that purpose. And this is the example, the story that I was going to mention. It is an anecdote of a very pious man who had a parrot, trained the parrot to do La ilaha illallah. So he trained his parrot to do La ilaha illallah. So he thought it was, like a form of zikr. So the parrot would keep saying, parroting all the time, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. It's a good thing. It's a form of zikr in his house, rather than saying, we've seen videos of people teaching their parrots to curse and say whatever nonsense. But this pious man wanted to train his parrot to say La, and he did that. The parrot kept saying La ilaha illallah all the time saying La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, and he was happy about that. So one time, a hungry cat came in and found that parrot and pounced on it and grabbed it to eat it. And as the cat caught the parrot, the parrot starts squawking his normal squawking parrot noise, not La ilaha illallah. And when he was eating him, when the cat caught him and ate him. So when the owner, the pious man, saw that he was crying, sobbing, inconsolable, keep on crying. So people around him said, "Don't, calm down. What's the big deal about the parrot? We could get you any parrots you want. We get you 10 parrots, better than the one you lost. Don't worry." He said, "That's not what I'm crying about." He said, "I'm crying about that the parrot, when the time came he forgot everything that he was taught to be parroting." Instead of saying La ilaha illallah when he was dying and being eaten by the cat, he made his normal squawking voice that's not necessarily, it's not La ilaha illallah anymore. And I'm worried that the same thing will happen to me when I die. If I'm keep parroting, my salah is only parroting, and I'm not really, my heart is not into it. When I die, I'm not going to be saying La ilaha illallah time of death. That's why he was crying and sobbing. And we don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to me. There's something called the theft of iman, when the shaitan comes and steals your iman at the time of death, my brother. This is so scary. This is something that should scare us from the core. It is said, I've heard, there's things that I have read, I don't know how true they are, but circulating, and it's very well, could be very well true. There are stories of shaitan coming at the time of someone who has a weak iman. Like the parrot, they forgot La ilaha illallah is not, iman is not as should be, not really spending time during his lifetime, wasted his time chasing the dunya, playing games, watching movies, entertainment, not into the deen, not reading the Quran, not really enough nur in his heart. May Allah protect us from that fate. But maybe he was praying, maybe he's a Muslim. In the time of death, the shaitan comes to him in the form of his late father or late mother that he loved so much. And he said, "Oh my son, I am your father. I died before you, and I saw that Jesus is God, whatever. Or this, so believe in it before you die. Believe in me. Believe in Jesus, or something like that." And the man dies in a state of non-Islam, or creating doubt in him about Allah. How do you know there is Allah? How do you know there is Akhirah? How do you know there is the shaitan comes in there? Because the shaitan does not give up, and the time of death comes in. He will do this, what's called the theft of iman. And he will make you die in a state of doubt. Imagine making you, at the time of this terrible death, make you die in a state of doubt. What if there's no Allah? What if there's no Akhirah? You die like that when this terrible situation. What is going to be our fate in the Akhirah? So I want to be prepared for death. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu an, second man after the prophets, after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Not Rasulullah, if there were to be a prophet after me, it would have been Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh. He had a ring, and on that ring that he wore, engraved Al-Mawtu ya Umar, to remind himself every time with death. It says, "Oh Umar, death, oh Umar, Al-Mawtu ya Umar," to remind himself of his death. And look at me and you and all of us, unfortunately, so immersed in the dunya. So nothing extra, no extra acts of worship, no nafil, no nafil. The repetition is required. Once again, my brother, you do it once in a lifetime. You may fast the mid of Sha'ban, the Yom Arafah. We may fast, the whatever and some of the days of Dhul Hijjah, and once sporadically, we get the thawab. Allah will not waste the thawab for sure. You get points, you get recorded for you. But to get to the point to elevate your iman, improve the quality of your iman, so you can be more prepared for the time of death, we need to do something repetition. Look at the prescription of Rasulullah for Sa'd bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu. He prescribed for him fasting 3 days or every month. Ayyam al-Bid. That is a repetitive pattern. You commit yourself only 3 days in a month, not 3 days, much of a big deal. To commit yourself to fast 3 days of the 13, 14, 15. That's one example. Many examples. To me, what I see is the most significant repetitive pattern that is really required, that also keep me in line with not being neglectful of the Quran, that I keep emphasizing in every khutbah and so many times, is to make a word of the Quran that you commit yourself repetitively every day, that you don't mess with it no matter what. Give it priority over everything. Again, even if it's 10 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever number, the more the better. The more you benefit, the more you increase you may be more prepared for that time of death. So my brothers, that repetition, please, we have to commit ourselves. And you pick up anything you want. Salatul Nabi, some people, they do Salatul Nabi 10,000 times a day. Some people do 1,000 a day, 500 a day, 300 a day, 7,000. A number you have to commit yourself to. If you don't commit, you get the rewards. But what you need is something more, is to elevate your iman, be prepared for that moment of death, the extraction of the soul. May Allah make it easy on all of us. May Allah protect us from the theft of iman. From the shaitan. May Allah protect us from the whispering of the shaitan at the time of death to make us doubt our faith, our iman at the time of death. May Allah allow our souls to be extracted like the souls of the Anbiya and the Prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ameen. But we are required to prepare and look at the hadith, my brothers, about the nafil. If anything should motivate us, if this hadith from Allah says, and I'll see the translation because of lack of time, the translation is, my slave keeps doing extra acts of worship, nafil, and so much so, and that is something that you're doing in repetition, that you're consistent with, so much so that until I love him. And if I love him, I become the eyes in which he sees. You see with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the hand which he strikes with, and the leg which he walks with. You get to that point. That happens if you do a repetition act of nafil, according to this hadith Qudsi, my brothers. And you get that level, or not even necessarily close to that level, or a step ahead in that level, then you are a lot more safer, a lot lower risk at the time of death to be in trouble. إن شاء الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيا فوز المستغفرين. استغفر أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله كما ينبغي لجلال وجهه ولعظيم سلطانه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله، صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله، اتقوا الله تعالى ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون، واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا، واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وحذروا البدع والمحدثات، فإن شر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة. اعلموا أن الله سبحانه وتعالى أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه، فقال سبحانه وتعالى: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك سيدنا محمد البشير النذير والسراج المنير، وارض اللهم عن الأربعة الخلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن بقية الصحابة والتابعين والتابعي التابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم بعفوك وكرمك وجودك وإحسانك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا، وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا واخطأنا، ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا، ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به، واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا، أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم، ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.